Well, hello, folks. Welcome back. Let's continue with this adventure and get some more things done. At the end of the last video, I told you I needed to get trim installed, then install the air conditioner, and then I could put together and install the cabinet that goes up there, and then I can get more trim installed, and the list goes on. It only seems like I'm getting caught up. At any rate, there's just a few things I got to get done, and before I get that cabinet installed, I need to glue some of that parts and pieces back together because of water damage and some split wood and things like that. Anyway, let's get after it. Well, here goes with the first piece of trim. Maybe just a smidgen long. Nope, just right. Okay, you caught me in a quandary. I was scratching my head and trying to figure out what I was going to do. It took a lot of playing around, but I finally figured out how to get this bend in the trim. And I wish I had kind of shown the process I went through, but from about here to here on the back side of the trim, I shaved off a bunch of material, which of course made it quite a bit more flexible. Anyway, it took a couple of tries. I wasted a little bit of trim material, but I got it done, except for right up here. I just couldn't get the right amount of material to come out of it. So I just broke down and cut it off and used a belt sander to kind of carve off a little bit of each of these to get the right angle on it, and just went with it the way it is. Anyway, that was the remedy to that situation. Well, there. I disconnected the electricity to the camper, so now I can play with it. Okay, now turn the power back on. That's nice, cool air, folks. It's a smidgen loud, but cool air is good. I found them. Parts and pieces. No, those are the wrong screws. Very dusty. I'm gonna go rinse the filters out. Just remembered the sheet metal screws for that cover. If I can find them. There. Now I can put the cover on. There. That's nice. Well, as you can see, I kind of cleaned some things up, and I put the back cushions back in so Biddy and I have a place to sit down and figure out what we're going to do next. I need to put the cabinets back together. And before I do that, I've got to do some gluing and clamping. This is the bottom edge of the back of the bench seat that goes right over here by Ella. And this is the end of the cabinets that go up there. But the water and just a couple of construction problems with that, I need to glue and clamp this back together. And then I'll be able to tighten down the screws again. But there's no sense in tightening down screws when things are splitting apart. So I am going to dilute some glue. Not a product endorsement, just wood glue. I'm going to dilute it with a little water. So, sorry about the finger. So it goes down inside all of these cracks and crevices before I clamp it all together and try to make it one good piece of wood again. Don't have to dilute it much. Doesn't help that my bottle of glue is pretty old and it's getting a little dried out. But you just lighten the consistency of it, and then you can force it down into the cracks a little easier. I may or may not have mixed up enough. But there's more where this came from. Hi. Are you out there protecting the yard from kids on bicycles and stuff? I heard you barking out there. Okay, I'd rather use waxed paper for this. This is just to keep the wood from sticking together. When I clamp it. Well, you can see a little bit of my bunk has turned into the tool shelf from the cleaning that I did on the other end of the camper before I started doing the gluing and clamping. But I just wanted to let everybody know that last night we had a pretty good rainstorm. After 11 straight days of sunshine and getting pretty warm, it got pretty wet last night. And I came out this morning almost dreading to look, and I am very happy to report the inside of the camper is dry. So I went up and looked, and there was a lot of water on top, all pooled up in the suspect places, but it didn't come through. So I'm pretty tickled with that progress, and all of that stuff is still dry, and yeah, that works for me. Anyway, I think I'm gonna call this the end of this video. Next time, we're going to pull out the window above the dinette and clean up the frame on it and get it resealed and reinstalled. And that way I don't have to mess with it after we get all the other parts in. And then we're going to work on getting the cabinet installed above that window. And I got dogs playing again. At any rate, I thank you all for joining me. And once again, you all have a good one.